You've probably heard it all before because you're the one telling yourself this. Things like, I'm going to do something, but I don't have enough time, or but I'm too old, or but I'm just waiting for the right moment. Does that all sound familiar to you? Well, we all do have our excuses. Problem is, excuses just feel real. But most of the time, they're just a really good lie that we tell ourselves so we get to stay in that comfort zone of ours. Well, today we're telling you to get off your big old butt, and we're going to break down how to lose your excuses and actually start doing things you say you actually want to do. Got it. Got it.
Got it. Can you do it? Absolutely.
Absolutely. But
But,
you got to get off your big old butt, Bill.
well, the longer I sit, the bigger it gets. But that's another story. So we're talking about excuses today. And we have all kinds of excuses that keep us from doing stuff. And whether it's fear, laziness, or just bad habits, or whatever the case may be, everybody's got a reason for not doing something. Everybody has a reason for not doing what maybe you should do.
You know, I think I got to believe that excuses probably are the number one reason why most people never accomplish the things that they say they want to accomplish, their goals, their dreams, whatever it is.
And we're going to look at like the top 10 excuses, as it were, just kind of the top 10 excuses for that. But first, I'm going to, do something else before I actually do what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's this story about Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe was a runner. He represented America. He was at the 36 Olympics, and nobody wanted him to win. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jim Thorpe was Native American. Is that correct?
Was, yes.
And so,
and probably one of the greatest athletes of all time when you really look at what he was capable of doing.
Right. So at the 36 Olympics, he was preparing for a race. Somebody stole his shoes. They didn't want him to win or anything. They didn't even want him to be there, but he was there. Somebody stole his running shoes, snatched the Nikes right out from under him. Adidas gone, Puma out the door. He didn't have any. So instead of saying, "Guess what? I can't. I just can't. I can't run. I can't run barefoot." Instead, he started looking around for a way to run, and he found a pair of mismatched shoes in the garbage that had been thrown away.
Something a whole other question in my mind, Bill, is like, who throws away a shoe?
Right? Maybe the two are on the top and two are stuffed down. I don't know. But one was too big, one kind of fit, and one was too big, so you wore an extra socks in the one so that it would feel like it fit better. Then he went out and he won the race. And I'm going, if anybody had an excuse not to run.
Hold on, Bill. Take a step back. He didn't just win the race. He won the gold medal.
He won the race. Wait. He won all the races.
It is true. He won
all the races. And, he could have said, like, I can't compete. I don't have any shoes. But here's the thing. Champions don't make excuses. They make adjustments.
Oh, I like that.
They make adjustment. So let's start by just taking a look at the world's most common excuses for not doing stuff. Now, whether it is you going to work, whether it is you doing something in retirement, whether it is you trying to get an online business started, it doesn't really matter. But there's always a reason. The greatest labor-saving device known to mankind is
tomorrow.
I'll do it in the morning. I'll start tomorrow. So here's a list. I don't have the time.
That's a big one. We all feel like we're busy. In fact, and I think in this day and age, some people wear, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too, of you kind of wear busy as a badge of honor. Like you're supposed to be busy. So when somebody goes, "Hey, how's it going?" What do you say? "I'm busy." Yeah. And are you really?
What are you getting done?
What are you being busy with? I guess that's the big.
I'm busy.
Busy's okay as long as you're busy with the right stuff.
I'm busy on my phone listening to a podcast by Jamie and Bill.
Well, that's actually productive busyness.
I think so. It's planned productivity. Next, it's too hard.
It's too hard.
I can't.
Or I don't know how.
I can't do it. I don't know how. I can't do it. What do people do what do productive people do nowadays when they come up with something and it seems too hard? The productive people find a way. They make adjustments. What do? They go on YouTube
YouTube and look for
and
it.
look for it. How to change a tire, how to blah, 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 how to start up, whatever. It's too hard. It's never too hard. Somebody's already
I
figured
think that's quickly moving over to AI now, ChatGPT or Grok or whatever.
Grok. So I'm not sure how to start.
That's a big one for me. And the thing is, though, I actually do know how to start. I just use that as my excuse that what I need to do is I need to go do a little more research. I need to do a little more planning. I need to do a little more whatever. I need more resources, whatever that is. And I use the excuse of I don't know how, so I need to go research it. Where in actuality, I do know how. Most of the time, I do know how.
Most of the time, it's just an excuse. Next,
And that's a big one for me.
next. I'm waiting for the right time.
Well,
I'm
when's
just
that going to be?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
It's-
absolutely.
uh,
But I'm going to do it today.
absolutely. Can you do it? Absolutely. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting for just the right time. It's like Jamie and I say. It's like you and I saying, "Guess what? You know, we're going to start a podcast. Yeah, we should start a podcast." 2 years later, we should do a podcast. You're right. We talked about that earlier. And here we are doing a podcast. We didn't wait for
And
the
we're
right time.
finally doing
We finally stopped waiting for the right time. Next.
it. Do you think failing, the fear of failing, because we talked about that in a previous podcast, do you think fear of failing is an excuse?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing about a fear of failing. It always has to do with how other people perceive you.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about you failing personally, or maybe it is. I don't know, but I'm afraid of failing. What will people think?
Yeah.
So
Well, we talked about it in previous podcasts. Failing, if you have the right frame of reference or the frame of mind with about failing, it's just feedback. It's
yeah,
just gives you more information to know how to move forward. But I think, it is an excuse. So
failing
I
is a
use it.
failing is a good thing. Another excuse. It's not my job.
Ugh.
It's not my job. Now Jamie and I, we could use the excuse of saying, there's so many other podcasts out there. Why would we even do it? Other people are going to give this information. It's not our job to do it. We could say that, and it'd just be an excuse not to do it. So it's not my job. Someone else will do it. And that kind of goes in the tail of what we just said. Someone else is going to do this.
Someone else is going to do it. Yeah.
So maybe someone else is going to do it better. So why would we even try?
Yeah.
And
As I say, I think kind of along the same lines is it's not my job. Somebody else will do it, and they're likely going to do it better than me. And I think that comes into another one that you hear a lot, and that is I don't feel like I'm qualified. I don't feel like I'm good enough, which then kind of goes back into I'm waiting for the right time until I get qualified. Or my big one, I'm not sure how to start. Basically, that's another way of saying I'm not qualified yet
yep, yep,
versus just do it.
yeah. And then I need more information.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to one more. I'll do this after one more conference, after one more online course, after listening to one more Joe Rogan podcast. I need more information first. And then I'll do it tomorrow, which we've already mentioned, which is probably one of the biggest. It's always tomorrow. I'll start in the morning.
Do it tomorrow. So Bill, what's the reason, the real reason behind some of these excuses?
The real reason behind some of these excuses? There's a good question. I don't know. What's the real reason behind some of these excuses?
Well, and I think it goes back to, we talked about um, the fear of failure, and we say it, I'm afraid that I might fail, but I think that there is some legit reason that people are afraid to fail. And I think we talked about that in the previous podcast, is like they don't understand what failure really is.
Okay, so let's look at 5 real quick. Real reasons behind the excuses. Lack of time. Now, some people are just busy. Like they've just got so much stuff they can't pack.
They're legit busy.
They're legit busy. But
Yep.
if you're legit busy watching stuff on TikTok, you're not really.
Mhm.
Not really. And then we talked about the fear of failure,
Yep.
right?
Confidence.
Confidence. Yeah, that's a big deal. There's people that will get everything set and everything ready. Like let's say you're going to go online and you're going to do something online live. And you get everything ready and you just lack the confidence to press that button that makes you go live. It's just, and you just kind of, you just get to a point where I just can't take that last step to make it happen. It's just a lack of
And I think
confidence.
the tie in with lack of confidence also is what will people think?
What would people think? Trying to please other people. Doesn't matter what other people think.
You know,
When I started doing Facebook Lives several years ago, uh, this is kind of sad. I'm going to say I'm going to go live, and it doesn't really matter because no one's going to watch anyway. I didn't lack confidence. I lacked the fact that I thought anybody was going to listen to me. I was kind of
yeah,
wrong, but anyway. But then there's procrastination.
yeah.
I wanted to actually look and see if that I spelled it right. I think I did. Procrastination. Okay, just putting things off, and then finally there's the idea of shifting responsibility.
Yeah. Meaning what?
Uh, I'm responsible for this, but I'm shifting it to somebody else. That's clear as mud.
I think that though that kind of ties in to some of the stuff up above is like, somebody else will do it or it's not my job or I think that kind of ties in with that a little bit. So how do we how do we how do we determine if it's a real thing that's causing us to not be able to move forward or get started versus it's just an excuse? Because we said early on, like in the opening, like those excuses feel real. When I say I'm busy, I really feel like I'm busy. But if I took a look at my screen time or I look at how much time I spent watching Netflix or whatever, yeah, how busy was I really? But it feels real when I say it. So how do we determine between an excuse and something that really truly is a legit reason for not being able to do something?
Okay, Jamie, just a sideline. My mind went to a game that I used to play on iPad. I would sit down. I'm saying I'm just going to play, a game of like a solitaire game or something on iPad.
Sure. Okay.
And after, and it was just kind of like, I like doing this. I think I'll sit down and do it. And then after several months, I noticed that I could look at my statistics to see how I was doing. And in the statistics, it told me how much time I was on that game playing. And it was weeks. I'd spent like 2.5 weeks cumulative sitting there playing a stupid game. So you know what I did? I deleted the game.
Deleted the game.
And I found another one that doesn't track my usage.
There you go.
Yeah. So having the time to do it, you have the time if you watch the time. And some people don't like to be under a lot of pressure. I just want to relax, and that's okay. Now, I've heard of people of saying, and they work from home and they're saying, I run my own time, I run my own schedule. And I know the least productive time is right after lunch for me. And so I schedule a 25-minute nap.
Yeah.
And at the end of 25 minutes, I actually get up and go back to work. There's the key. It's not.
Well, and I think you struck on something really important there too. It's scheduled. I have a dedicated time to do this thing.
Right. I scheduled a nap, and I love it. Let's go to the takeaways. Do this now. How's that sound?
Do this now.
Do this now. Identify your go-to excuse. What's the one excuse that you just go to? And it may be tomorrow or I don't have the time. But the first thing is identify your go-to excuse. And when we were going through the list, a lot of our listeners may have been going, oh, yeah, that's me. Oh, that's me too. Oh, 7 out of 10. You got me there, Bill.
Well, and I think the key to that right there is that anytime that you have it in your mind, you have some motivation, you're like, okay, I'm going to go do this right now. And then when you find out that you didn't do it, take a pause and actually just write down like, okay, what was the thing that I was telling myself that prevented me from doing it? Like, what was it? And then say, okay, was that a legit reason or was that just an excuse that I was telling myself so I didn't have to do it?
Right. And that's the next step, actually, is find the truth behind it. Why are you using that excuse? And you got to be honest with yourself. You got to stare at yourself in the mirror and honestly ask yourself why.
Mhm.
Why do I keep using this excuse? Maybe go back to something in your childhood. I don't know. Not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. Don't want to go there. Uh,
Nope.
nope. Not even going to try. But it may have been something that's happened in the past, and this is the excuse that you kind of attach yourself to. So dig deep. Find the truth behind that. Behind your excuse, that one main go-to excuse, and then
And something that it also can be is it is an excuse, but it also may be a habit. Like you've done this thing where, you know what, I'm just going to pick up and I'm going to play that game for just a minute or two. But now you pick that game up and you play it for just a minute or two all the time, and it has become just a habit. And it's now just easier to do that thing because it's become a habit versus doing the thing that you don't want to do. Somebody told me a long, long, long time ago, if you want to know what truly is important to people, um, take a look at their bank account, look at their calendar.
yeah,
So the things that you spend your time on and the things that you spend your money on, those are the things that are most important to you, whether you want to admit it or not.
right. You've got proof right there, and
So
a lot of people don't track their time because they don't want to see how much time they're wasting.
they don't want to see it. Yeah.
Right.
They already know somewhere
So,
subconsciously or even consciously that they're just wasting time.
right. And why are people so afraid of getting an email at the end of the week that says list 5 things you've done this week? Hmm. Too close to home?
Accountability. It seems like we ought to do an episode sometime on accountability, Bill.
It's on the list. It's on the docket. We got to go there. So the third thing is prove your excuse wrong. Now you say you don't have the time, so find 15 minutes today to take action, to actually do that thing, and throw the excuses out the window. If you think you're
Or
too
do what we just talked about. Like go look at your calendar. What did you actually go look at your screen time? How much time did you do that? Like prove it wrong to say, you know what, I say I don't have the time, but when I look at how much time I was on my phone today, yeah, I
yeah,
could take 15 minutes away from that and go do something.
right? Right. So if you think you're too old, like like I do too many times I get up and say I'm too old for this, but I'm really not. So if you think you're too old, uh, uh, look up someone who's older than you, who's already done some stuff.
Yeah. I got a list.
Give me the list.
I just did this real quick this morning, but people that started things well into their adulthood later in life, and that's what they became successful at and known for. So Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, was 51. Colonel Harlan Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken, was 62. Laurel Ingalls Wilder wrote all of the Little House on the Prairie books. She didn't start writing until she was 65. Samuel L. Jackson was 46 and actually addicted to drugs before he started his acting career. Julia Child, famous for the cooking shows, was 50, and Rodney Dangerfield, comedian, was 46 before he really started his career.
Before I really realized, hey, I'm funny.
Hey, I'm funny. I get no respect.
Right? So yeah, it's never too late to start something, but man, we could use that as an excuse. I'm just too old. My time has passed. No way. Prove the excuse wrong.
Yep, I like that.
Step 4, take a small immediate step. Kind of hits on on the third point where I said find 50 minutes today to do something, but no more waiting for tomorrow, no more waiting for someday. Do something today that moves you forward toward whatever goal you may have, whether it's
Yeah,
starting
and the
something
last one,
online, continuing something online, so on and so on. And then finally, the big one, hold yourself accountable.
yeah. Best way to do that is tell somebody about what your goal or what your action steps or what you're going to be doing, and just have and tell them, give them permission to ask you, hey, did you do the thing today? And give them the permission to do that. And don't get mad at them then or cut them off when they start trying to hold you accountable. That's what you need. If you want to get things done, you gotta have somebody calling you out on that stuff.
Right?
Um, so what do we want to leave everybody with today?
Get off your big old butt.
Stop using the excuses.
Stop using the excuse. We gave you all kinds of excuses that you could use, but stop it. Just stop it. To think
I
about
think
it.
the thing is, it's time to call yourself out, right? Like you got to just like decide, am I making excuses? And if I am, then ask yourself, what's one excuse that I've been making? And then what's one at least small little action that you can take today to prove that excuse wrong? And here's what we'd love. We'd love to have you uh, send that to us, post it, and let us know because we love celebrating people who are actually just done with the excuses and really trying to move forward in their life. And like people like that they need to be celebrated. They need to know that what they're doing matters. Because at the end of the day, you either have excuses or you have results, but you never have both.
Right. And right along that line, don't wait for tomorrow to like, share, or comment. Just bringing that up. Now, if you have a topic that you have interest in us researching and presenting on, we'd love to hear it because we'd rather do the topics that you want than the topics that we come up with when we're sitting down having coffee and shooting the breeze, which is not where we got these. We actually did research on these, but we would rather do what you're looking for. So take the time, take the opportunity, make a comment, tell us what you're thinking about.
I'm Jamie French, and that is Bill McConnell.
And oh, that's Jamie French. I'm Bill McConnell.
Got it.